My father said to me, if you ever get hit, number one, it is always your fault. Never anyone else. And I'm 5 years old and my mouth is opening. I'm like, couldn't believe what he's saying to me. And then the second thing, and it has stuck with me for my whole life. My father looked at me and says, that man who won the grand championship is the greatest fighter you're ever going to see. And it has stuck with me. I'm 44 years old. It has stuck with me for close to 40 years, sir. And that's what my father said. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of A Black Belt Way of Life. I'm your host, Master Joseph Lupo Jr. Joining me today, my Taekwondo uncle, someone very holds a special place in my heart, Master Coach Mark Williams. Sir, thank you so much for being here today.
Whatever you need, always.
And that means the world to me. I'm gonna apologize beforehand if at any point I get emotional. It's gonna happen. But that's how special you are to me, sir.
Ruin me too. Ruin my image.
Before we get into our interview, please check out our official apparel company of A Black Belt Way of Life, Best Martial Arts, Muto. All their information is in the show notes. And to our sponsor. This episode of A Black Belt Way of Life is brought to you by Mr. Joseph Ferrone of Weichert Realty. For all your real estate needs, both commercial and residential, don't hesitate to reach out to Mr. Joseph Ferrone. All his information is in the show notes. Sir, I want to start tonight's interview. I walked inside my son's room the other day. I was talking to one of the producers about this. My son's a big sports fan. But I made sure to teach my son the right way. You walk into his room, to the right, he loves soccer. He's got a poster of Pele on his wall.
Pele?
A signed,
really?
Autographed poster of Pele doing a bicycle kick.
All right.
On the other side of the wall, he's got Diego Maradona. He loves the New York Knicks because I'm a big Knicks fan. He likes basketball. He's got on the side of his bed Kobe Bryant. Not that he played for the Knicks, obviously, but I want him to understand the great players. Now, these three individuals, to be honest with you, Pele, I never even saw play. I was born in 1980, sir. You know?
I'm like, Pele.
Yeah.
All right. Maradona. Okay.
Yeah.
He's
Maradona, I was very young. Kobe, I was blessed to watch him play. Like, I want my son to realize that pair of sneakers is not just some guy.
Right.
Yeah, I want him to understand what Jordan meant to the sport, what Jordan meant to the game. So I've taught my son to embrace the history, embrace those that came before the current players and athletes he's watching. And now, this brings me to you. Everyone goes to tournaments and they see you with that camera, taking probably the best pictures anyone could ever take. But it gets to me how they just see you, some of these people, and some of them, unfortunately, are my age, and some of them are even a little bit older. They don't know you. They don't know you as, for lack of a better term, and I know you're gonna give me a face right now. They don't know you as a Taekwondo legend. Because a lot of our generation, that's what we see you as. you are someone who has inspired a generation. And I know these are things I know you. I know you don't want to hear this, but it's the truth, sir. And that's what I thought of when I went inside my son's room. For athletes that are competing in Taekwondo today, we have to embrace the history of the sport, or else we'll never really, really appreciate it. We'll never really understand it. We'll never really understand that those that paved the way, and you, sir, paved the way for a lot of us, still to this day.
But it wasn't me. It was the guys before me.
That's right.
It was the guys before me. It was Jerry Robbins and Darryl Gaston and Frankie Calderon and John Kritsos and they were. I was just another link in the chain.
Right.
The young guys today, they're not performing at the level they're capable of because they're not looking back a little bit.
Right. Right.
You know, I see a lot of the guys today, especially a lot of these coaches. I'm like, these guys have never been really top level.
Mm-hmm.
So how could they know? I mean, I can't criticize them for not knowing because they can't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and unfortunately, they're so busy trying to be Frank Sinatra. I mean, I can't complain about that because I was Frank Sinatra. I'm going to do it my way.
Right.
I can't complain about them doing it my way, but I'm like, man, come on, you got to have some more success before you start. If you're going to say my way, you got to have a little more success than
Right.
I put a junior on the cadet team.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day, there was only one junior team.
Right.
And that is between the AAU and USAT.
Sure.
There's 15 different ways to get on, to get a kid on the team.
Yeah.
And with the money you got to spend, holy cow,
Sure.
man. I was fighting, it was $10. I was fighting 40 tournaments, 45 tournaments a year.
Right.
Fighting Saturday, fighting Sunday. We get in the car, drive, fight somewhere, get back in the car, drive to another tournament, sleep in the parking lot, and fight on Sunday.
Right.
But now it's like $9 million. It's $100 to compete. You can't be doing that every week.
It's a totally different animal.
Yeah, it's not their fault. And these guys are fighting 10, 12 tournaments a year. And worst of all, if they're lucky, they get 2 matches.
They're lucky.
If they're lucky,
You're right.
they get 2 matches. And so they might fight 25, 30 times a year. Well, we were at twice as many tournaments.
Right.
Fighting 5, 6, 7, 8 times because there were 900 guys in there.
Yeah.
I fought one of the years I fought at the Garden, there were 90-something guys in my division.
Oofa.
I fought 8 times and got a bronze.
I was
got a bronze.
I was a little boy, sir, watching you at the Felt Forum.
I'm like, man.
For the audience that doesn't know, the Felt Forum was, I think it's called the theater now at Madison Square Garden. Yeah. The Mecca.
That was everything. Muhammad fought there.
Right. Let's not get too far ahead. Let's bring it back a little bit. So I want to bring it back a little bit because I'm also curious myself. Talk to the audience about how you started in martial arts, where they came to be, because you came from a generation that I know the stories from my father. I know the stories of back when Taekwondo in the early 70s, early to mid 70s, when it was really coming about here, it was grown men. It wasn't children like what it is today. It was a different world. Yeah. Can you bring us back to that time?
I started for my generation, I started like most with Bruce Lee and 5 Fingers of Death.
Right.
On 42nd Street.
Kung Fu Theater.
Yeah, Kung Fu Theater. Saturday at 3 o'clock, Channel 5. So I started with that stuff. And actually, I started on 3rd Avenue with a guy named Pereira. It was a jiu-jitsu school, but not today's jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
there was a jiu-jitsu before today's jiu-jitsu,
All right.
which was just another variation of karate.
Okay.
And then I got in an accident, and I had to stop there. And then we moved to New Jersey, and that's when I started Taekwondo. And I was lucky enough to walk into my instructor, Ki-Chung.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's, well, because you had it too. You got to be lucky to walk into the right school.
That is for
There's
sure.
a million schools, and you got
Nowadays, sure.
You got
on every other corner.
Yeah, you got to be lucky to walk into a school where they knew what they were doing. So I was lucky enough to walk in there, and he's dead now, but he was, the Taekwondo father, and was more concerned with me being a good person than a good fighter. I mean, I walked in there as a yellow belt, but I was a good athlete already.
Right. What year are we talking, sir?
This is like, I started 72, 73 with the jiu-jitsu, so it was probably about 75, 76, something like that. But he was more concerned about, being a good person. And was smart enough to understand without saying it. But, I got it from him. We're giving children weapons.
Sure.
And if you don't teach them how to use that weapon properly, there's going to be trouble. So he kept me in check. I had an ego. Like I said, I was a good athlete. I came in and I was fighting. I was a yellow belt, but I was fighting when I was rocking and rolling with the black belts.
Wow.
Actually, before I even got to him, I went from the jiu-jitsu school, and then I got in an accident, and then I started with Richard Chun.
Okay.
Up on 86th Street. And I was there for a year, maybe more, and then we moved to New Jersey, and I ended up with Ki-Chung Kim. But, yeah, I started with Richard Chun on 80s, on 80s. No, 70, was it 77th? 86th Street came a little bit later. So I think it was 77th Street.
Okay.
Spider, Frankie Calderon, all of those guys were from there. So, again, another guy, Richard Chun wasn't real crazy with the competition because he wasn't actually teaching the classes. So it's a guy named O. But they had guys that came out of there. And again, I wasn't there that long. I was just there as a beginner, and then I ended up in Orange with Ki-Chung Kim. And, kind of fell into the competition.
Right.
Was good at it. They said, go to the competition. Was having some fun, kept me out of trouble, got out my lunacy, my crazy aggression. And,
right.
And I was playing football too. But then I blew my knee out. And,
wow.
And kind of stuck with the Taekwondo. I was lucky. It kind of kept me on the right path.
So you fell into the right tribe, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a good instructor, had good seniors. A guy named Charlie Blatchford, Larry Chenault, Ken Nicholson, they were my seniors. And I mean, that was, 75, 76, something like that. And I still speak to them today.
Yeah.
Not Ken Nicholson, but Charlie's like my uncle, my big brother. Larry Chenault. We still get together. We all still talk. So
bonds, friendships that last a lifetime.
I tell my students, listen, whether you compete or not, and especially if you compete, but look around, make friends. My instructor was right. He said if 100 people start Taekwondo, maybe 2 or 3, maybe will get black belt. But I always tell my students the best thing about Taekwondo was not, learning how to fight and defend yourself and being but the best part is there were people that when you start, you might know for the rest of your life.
Correct.
The rest of, I'm going to show up at your funeral.
Right.
The rest of you might have friends for the rest of your life. And if you compete, I would tell my students, if you compete, make friends with your adversary. Because that guy, you might know for the rest of your life. There are guys that I can call almost all over the planet. And if I call them and say, I'm coming, they would say, we got you. And they were out. They would pick me up from the airport.
Sure.
And if they call me and say, Mark, we're coming to New York. When you coming? Just like that. So, and some of those guys, we used to fight to the death. To the death. Try to kill them. Each other. That was fun, but I wish I saw a little bit more of that now.
Mm-hmm.
Make it so unnecessarily adversarial, even though you are competing against one.
There's got to be a sense of camaraderie.
Yeah, man.
At the end of the day, you're two gentlemen or warriors, so to say, stepping into the ring. There has to be a mutual respect in that.
Speaking the same language, doing the same thing, having the same attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And,
For me, it's the greatest form of sport. Two people walking in there, it's...
Yeah, this is not me trying to score more, this, that, and I'm trying to beat the living daylights. I'm trying to crush you.
So now, with that mentality that you're bringing up, speak to the audience about, let's go into competition, but as a black competition in your day, sir. Like, what was it like? Who were the guys that you were looking at? I'm going to see this guy in the final. I'm going to fight this guy. Like, talk to us a little bit about that time, about how competition was.
It was on the edge. Everything was on the edge of a real fight.
Really?
For me, it was for me in the way I raised my guys. And because this is the way I was raised with my instructor. My instructor raised me with, when you fight for your life, there's no second place. That's how I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see, my mentality was such that I didn't see any difference between competition and a real fight as far as attitude. You're competing, there are rules, and, I wouldn't do anything.
It is a controlled environment at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Referee, judges, sure.
It's a controlled environment until the other guy changes the rules. As long as he was respectful and under control, I was respectful and under control.
Sure.
But for me and all of my guys, if he changed the rules a little bit and broke the rules, then it wasn't. And this was a personality flaw on my part. Even as a kid, I never played fair. I didn't play fair. Listen, if we're having a snowball fight, okay, we throw snowballs. But if somebody threw a snowball at me, I threw a block of ice at him.
Ric Flair.
I didn't fuck around like that. If we're playing. But if I didn't want to play, I didn't play fair. And before Taekwondo, I was like that. And once I started doing Taekwondo, I was like, if you swung at me, well, that really came a little bit later after I got my nose broken and my cheek broken.
Oof.
And after that, if you swung at me, at my face, it was all bets were off, and I want a tooth. I want a tooth or I want blood. It was always, Mark, don't do that. Nah, man, it's got to go. I want blood and bones, blood and teeth. Nah, man, I'm not letting, I'm not going out. I spent a week in the hospital after getting punched in the face at the Garden.
Oh, wow.
Errol Bennett punched me in the face and broke my cheek. And that's actually one of my proudest moments.
Wow.
Because Errol Bennett, he's a Shotokan guy. And Errol Bennett was what's the guy for Seattle, the running back?
Marshawn Lynch?
Marshawn Lynch. He was a Marshawn Lynch looking.
Really?
Yeah. 200 pounds. He wasn't much taller than me, but the guy was like a brick wall. And
Wow.
he was a maniac. Not a maniac. He was just mean.
Mm-hmm.
And he hated Taekwondo. I'm all right, Taekwondo flags. He's a karate guy. He wanted to kill karate guy. And actually, I had fought him like a week or two before, and he like destroyed me. He swept me and elbowed me in the back of my neck.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, Errol Bennett was kind of scary. He was the Sonny Liston of the time. Look it up, young people. Sonny Liston.
There you go.
Well, he was the Mike Tyson of the time.
There you go. Feared.
Yeah, and I
feared
get him,
but respected.
Absolutely. He wasn't a bad guy. He was just ornery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sure he was nice to his kids and everything. But I had a tournament. The guy never smiled. You know, it was always he wanted to kill everybody to get in a ring. So he had dusted me a couple of weeks before, and I get in the ring when he punches me in the face. And when I go down, I remember going down face first, which the axiom is, if you go down face first, you don't get up. In boxing, if you go down face first, you don't get up.
You're done.
I went down face first. Crack. And this is bare knuckle. Crack. I go down face first. And I remember when I hit the canvas, my first thought was, I'm not knocked out. And then my second thought was, he can't hurt me. And so I got up. Duncan Park was the head referee. He was always a head referee when either I did something bad or somebody did something bad to me. He was always in the center, Duncan Park, my Dutch uncle. So I get up, and I'm, working my jaw, and it's going clickety, clackety, clickety, clackety, clickety, clackety. I'm walking in a bit of a circle, and Duncan Park's looking at me. I'm just, he could have got DQ'd.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to punch the face.
Sure.
And he had punched the shit out of me. So, get back up. All right. And now I'm like, I wasn't mad. I was just not afraid anymore. And Bennett comes in, and I hit him with probably the hardest kick I ever hit with anybody. I hit him with a side kick right in the middle of the chest. I can't believe he was still standing after. It was a nuclear bomb. Boom! I got the point, but I'm like, that motherfucker's still standing. How he's not even hurt.
Wow.
It was like kicking a wall, but I got the point and I win the match. And that was a semi. And I had to fight William Oliver after that. So it was like two death dealers, one right after another. But after that, then it was, don't come near my face. I mean, if you kick me in the face, you're good. I tip my hat.
Right.
Good for you. Now I'm going to kill you. If you kick me in the face, no problem. But if you swung at my face, that was it. I wanted to kill you.
So basically you took, for lack of a better term, something negative and flipped it into a positive. Well, and it shaped you.
It became
as a competitor, as a fighter,
survival.
as a man.
It's a survival thing.
Right.
And not only did I not want anybody, I didn't want anybody to punch at my face at all. So it was a big thing for me, and I transferred it to all of the guys I work with. You're not hitting him to get to him. I'm not getting you for hitting me. I'm showing everybody that's watching, this is what happens if you punch at my face. If you punch at Mark's face, he's gonna try to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna try to murder you. He's gonna look for your family in it. If they're in the stands, he's gonna get them too. So don't punch at my face. Don't punch her. Peter will tell you. Tony will tell you. If somebody come in, punch him in the face. Get disqualified. That's okay. Take the DQ. And then actually once we started going to nationals and stuff, people not from the area now, don't go with those guys' face. Watch out for those guys. It was a watch out for those guys. Because we all had that. This is real fight, man. This is not competition. And I always thought that was an edge we had. I said, you guys are here to spar. And even the guys that we would tell people when they come to train with us was, if you come train with us, we don't spar. We don't do any sparring. We fight. We fight. Ain't no referee here. I don't want to say there ain't no rules here, but there ain't no rules here. If you turn your back, you're going to get hit in the back.
Right.
You know, you can't just stop. If you fall down, we're going to kick you on the floor. It was the mentality was just different.
So basically what you're explaining is, and I always reiterate this to my students, the training is always supposed to be harder than the competition.
Oh, absolutely, positively. Nobody ever hit me harder than my instructor. And yeah, I heard from more than one or two guys that I coached. They said, I'd rather go get him than go back to Mark. I don't know what Mark's going to do if I don't do what he said.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't go kill him, I'm going to kill you. So it's like, better go kill him.
Right.
You know, that was from my instructor. And he didn't, I don't know, it was an osmosis thing because he never vocalized that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell. He was like that.
No, I completely understand that. I had
stories about him.
I had a previous guest on this podcast, and he spoke about how the early instructors in their day, there wasn't a lot of language because
they didn't have it.
They didn't know the language.
Yeah.
So they taught through tough love.
Yeah.
They taught through some painful lessons.
He didn't cut me any slack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was hard on all of us, but he was probably worse with me. But I was the one that needed that.
The direction.
Yeah. I needed that check.
Mm-hmm.
I needed that. You know, he asked one time, I was red belt. Who's ready to take black belt test? I raised my hand. He said, "What your hand raised for?" And I shrunk. I must have shrunk down into my uniform. They just a uniform. You could see I shrunk. Everything was like, he checked me to keep me in line because I was a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little crazy. I was really confident. I didn't care. You know, I was a New York kid in New Jersey, and I didn't have exactly the best attitude,
Mm-hmm.
but he kept me in line. He kept me in line. You know, I wasn't doing anything untoward unless you did something.
Sure.
If you did something wrong, then you wouldn't be worse than me. Nobody could be worse than me. As long as you were cool, I'm cool, but you got out of line.
Mm-hmm.
It was always, why you got to do that, Mark? Well, he shouldn't have done that. I did that because he did this. Everybody got to know, if you do that to me, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
I'm not going to act right. So it was a different time, and I, you know, even now when I talk to some of the guys now in China, but I can see they don't, and I can't say nothing. They didn't come up
Mm-hmm.
the way we did, and they don't have to deal with, even in the ring, you know, they don't have to deal with, you go to a competition. Actually, that's not right, because last week I was at some karate tournament.
Really?
I was at a karate tournament last week, and guy got out of hand in the ring. He was losing. He got kicked in the face and swept the guy, and he got on top of him and was like, wham, 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 wham. Coaches come out, you know, like a baseball game.
Right.
Benches
Everyone
clear.
out of the dugout.
Benches clear. Everybody's in the middle. And then after it kind of calmed down in the ring, it kind of started up in the stands, and I started laughing because I'm like, yeah, that's the old days. I've stepped out of the ring, and his buddy go, yeah, you got him, but you can't get me. Let's go. And we're rocking and rolling in the stands.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I ain't seen that in a long time. But did I laugh when I saw that? Those guys, I think, were from Philly.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah, it got a little out of hand. And then the kid that got hit, he won the match. And then I told that kid, listen, somebody does that, don't say anything. Tell your coach, just say I'm okay. Because you want the fight to continue. You don't want him to get disqualified when he does something to be disqualified for.
You want to finish the fight the right way.
Yeah.
You want to win.
Yeah. No. Win. I said, you want the fight to continue. And then you got to take a tooth home. He did something out of line. Later for winning the match. Punch his teeth out. Kill him. And not for him. So everybody sees this is what happens if you do that to me.
Wow.
And he was like, yes, sir. And these were kids that they didn't know me. I didn't know them. But I'm like, That's the way you handle guys like that. You're going to see that guy again. Next time you see that guy, just punch him in the face right away. Get disqualified. And say, remember last week? Because that was me. If you did something last week, if I couldn't get you today, I'd be looking for you.
Wow.
I'd be looking for you the next tournament. I might wait 2-3 years to get you.
Well, that's a fighter's mentality, you know? And now, going back to your career, I'm sure there's many. And, you know, the stories are legendary. But for you, and I'm sure the audience would love to hear this. One, what was your greatest accomplishment as a competitor? And two, who was your toughest match?
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
My greatest accomplishment as a competitor was getting up after Bennett hit me.
Wow.
He broke my face. I had to go get my face surgically. My face was dented in. I didn't know it at the time. People told me afterwards. But, you know, I'm on the floor, and they're coming over and they're looking at me, and I'm like, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. It was the semifinals.
Wow.
It was the semifinals at the Garden. I'm okay. And people told me, they said the whole side of your face was dented in. They had to go in and cut me up here and lift my face out. And then I beat him. You know, so my biggest accomplishment wasn't even beating him, it was getting up. He punched the living shit out of me.
Means more than that trophy, that medal. That's.
I didn't fight for trophies. I
Right.
just fight because I like fighting.
Exactly.
I didn't care. And it got to the point where when I won, the first kid did walk by. I say, kid, come here. And I just give him the thing. I just give him the trophy. I had 1 million of them. We used to get trophies back. What am I going to do with this?
Big
I got
6
1 million
trophy.
of them. Yeah, I got 1 million of these in the house. Oh, yeah, the first kid that walked by. Hey, kid, come here. Here. And then I walk away and they go, Mom, look what they walking at. Get out. You know, parents come over. We can't take this. I said, listen, I can't take it. You got to take it. I don't care. And they walk away. I'm like, I'm not taking that. If you take it from your kid, it's on you now.
Right.
And the kid will be like,
Right.
But yeah, I didn't care. I just liked to fight. The fighting was fun. It was a little dangerous, depending on who you were fighting.
Sure.
And my toughest, I gotta loop a few in.
Mm-hmm.
William Oliver. William Oliver was Jesus come down. No offense. Mike Warren was God, and William Oliver was Jesus come down.
Wow.
Just the smoothest. So smooth. He was probably 120 pounds soaking wet. He was a little guy. Guy fought like he was 9 feet tall and was super fast, incredibly. William Oliver, there was a guy named Robert Summers from, when I was fighting him, he was from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I'd met him up at the Canadian National Exhibition. We used to go up there to fight every year, bring a team up. Oh, I loved fighting it. You know, everybody likes, you know, to be a home team, be a home crowd. I didn't care for the team. For me, it was, I wanted to be in the other guy's stadium. Because
The visitor.
There was nothing better than having everybody cheer for the other guy, and then you hit him, and the place goes,
Right.
And that silence was always louder to me. And the only people you hear was us.
Then the applause, right.
The only people you would hear is us. 8, 10 of us. You're in another country fighting, and the place would go, So that was always the coolest thing for me, leaving town and fighting out of the area. But a guy named Robert Summers who had a death sidekick. If he was fighting now, he would destroy everyone just with sidekick.
Really?
But Robert Summers, John Kritzos, I only got to fight Jerry once. But he was someone I watched coming up. You know, the guys I watched coming up were, Albert Cheeks and Warren and Jerry and John Kritzos in D.C. and there was a guy named Alton Richardson from down. I think he was from Virginia. Frankie Calderon, he's a New York guy. Frankie Calderon, his legs were. He was a team member.
Mm-hmm.
He was a team member. Frankie Calderon was just fast. But yeah, William Oliver, Robert Summers, John Kritzos. Boy, we had some battles. Jonathan, giant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I fought heavyweight, so I got to fight.
Because back then, from what I want the audience to understand was, you won your division,
yeah,
and then everyone fought for a grand championship.
Right. But we didn't have any heavyweights. My school, we didn't have any heavyweights, so I fought heavyweight. So,
and for the audience, you were at that time soaking wet.
140 pounds.
Wow.
140 pounds.
Wow.
Actually, I'm more. It's not. I won Henry Cho's a bunch, but it wasn't my.
The All-American Open.
Yeah, my pride wasn't winning that as many times as I did. My pride was winning all 4 divisions. I won all of the divisions, so I'm very proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky. I mean, nationals. I just did it for fun before I retired.
1992.
Yeah. Before I'm like, I'm ready to stop now. And Herb and Kevin would always come back and say, you could win. They would say 2 things. And everybody that went to USA tournaments then, they would say, you could win. But then right after they tell me I could win, they would tell me, this guy beat the crap out of that guy and he still won. And I'm like, I shouldn't do it. Because if they do that to me, I'm going to show up next year and just punch that guy and find that guy and just punch him in the face. Because that was what I would do at, regular tournaments. I didn't complain like people complain now. I'd just be like, all right. All right. Where I come from, all right was all right. All right. That's the way it is. All right. The rules have changed. Oh, y'all going to act like that? All right. Wait till I show up again. And I would do things that, they're not right. But it was like, if you do this to me, this is what I'm going to do. And I didn't care. I didn't care if I got DQ'd. I wanted a good fight. I enjoyed fighting guys that could fight. That was fun. The challenge. Yeah, there was some guys. The guys back then, and the funny thing is, we were doing point fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the WTF guys would always look at us and look down on us and go, oh, they're doing the point fighting. We hit full contact and everything. And I don't think at the time.
But there was nothing semi-contact about it.
And see, that's the funny thing. I don't think the WTF guys that didn't do point fighting, they understood that if I could kick at your face and just touch you, if I had that kind of control.
That's scary.
I could kick the hair on your face but not touch your skin.
Yes.
If I had that much control, I want to hit you, I could hit you.
Exactly.
They would think because we didn't hit that we couldn't hit. And I said, yeah, and they would always go, you should do it, and I go, no, I don't want to do it because number one, my instructor was somebody. Herb, Kevin were doing it. This was their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my instructor was somebody, and I didn't want to show up on the national scene and make him look bad by doing the things I was capable of doing. Well, acting like I would act.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, if I showed up and they did that to me, I'd do something horrible. And it would be, why you got to do that? Why he do that? And then he'd have to explain and da-da-da-da-da. So I'm like, I don't need to be. And plus, I had won what I wanted to win. At the time, if I had tried for the Olympic team, I might have gotten in the way of Kevin. And Kevin, that was Kevin's dream. And I didn't want to, I had won what I wanted to win. And if I had made the Olympic team, it wouldn't have been extra for me.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been like, I think at the time, if I had gone on and really pursued that,
We're talking about 1988, 1998.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been different for me because I was already winning. People would have like, yeah, of course Mark won. Yeah, sure. It wouldn't have been, to me, it wouldn't have been any bigger, any more of a thing. Again, for me, the biggest thing was doing what we did in the Garden. You go to these WTF tournaments, you fight 3-4 times. And Olympics, 2-3 fights. So Olympics is a giant tournament, but it's really not. I mean, really. You fight 2-3 times.
So give me an example so the audience could really understand it. What was the most times you fought at one tournament?
9.
Wow.
9. Now, for me, winning the Olympics wasn't a big deal. Winning World Championships, that would have been a big deal. Because World Championship, you had to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Olympics is a small tournament. World Championships, you had to fight 6-7 times maybe. Guys from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
World Championships, to me, World Championships way more important than winning the Olympics. But the Olympics, everybody sees. More people see. Because people from other sports.
Exactly. It's the biggest event in the world.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. And as an event, there's the only thing the closest thing to the Olympics is Formula One racing. I mean, it's just a matter of all these people from all over the world. And I imagine World Cup soccer's like that.
Of course.
I imagine that. I've never been, but I imagine that's like that because there are people from all over the world. So Olympics was cool. Olympics was fun. But the closest thing to it, for me, participating in was Formula One racing as a spectator.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now today, for guys that come to a tournament, they get one match, they lose, they get a silver medal, and go home and tell everybody, yeah, I won a silver. Shut up. Shut up. I got in trouble. Here's a funny story for you. I got in trouble for this. So it was juniors. I don't remember what. And kid comes over to me. He's got to be 10, 11 years old. Look, sir, I won a silver. And I go, you don't win a silver. You lose and get that. You got to work harder. And I turn and walk away. And Dae-Sung Lee, I'm working on the tournament committee then. And Dae-Sung Lee comes over and goes, Mark, what are you doing? What did you do? And I go, what? You told some kid he was a loser. He lost when he got Super. I said, yeah. Don't tell me why you lost. Tell me how you're going to win.
There you go.
You guys, it's...
You basically, sir, you just took away my question because I was going to ask you what advice would you give up-and-coming fighters, and you basically illustrated the fighter's mentality, to success.
You number one, fight as much as you can. Now that being said, the paradigm today with the cost and everything really
it is a different animal.
Jacks up your experience.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that experience. I think that anybody that's competing today should fight other disciplines. They should fight karate. We fought anything. It was. Do you remember
Open
karate?
tournaments.
Yeah, you remember Karate Illustrated and Black Belt
Yes.
Magazine? In the back, the second from the last page, there was a list of tournaments, and we would get the magazine every month. And if it was a tournament we could get to, we went. Oh, Kung Fu Karate, I didn't care. We'd walk in and say, what are the rules here today? Be the only one.
That made you a better athlete, a better fighter, because you were able to adapt.
Experience.
And the experience.
It was
you were able
the
to adapt to the
experience,
rules and just
Yeah,
See
guys,
things come from different angles, and that was it.
back fist and sweep, and guys trying to tiger claw your face, and yeah, I mean, it was like, and it was, oh, all right, we could do that. Oh, all right.
So some amazing war stories here that we're tuning into, but where I wanna take this, I wanna close this episode out with a very beautiful story. That picture that I brought here today, I'm a little boy, I'm 5 years old with that trophy.
Lord have mercy.
My first ever competition. And I had spoken previously on this podcast about my first ever competition. To be honest with you, I don't remember competing. I don't. If you were to ask me how many times I fought that day as a 5-year-old, I don't. I remember the trophy.
You know why?
Because I see the picture.
You know why you don't remember? Because you won.
Very true. Very true. That is true.
Because you won.
And that trophy is still sitting in my school. God knows whatever happened to every other one, but that one still sits there. But my most vivid memory, and I'm gonna try to hold back as much emotion as I can. You were in the Grand Championship. This was Bai's Battle of Pan Am in New Jersey.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh Lord.
Yes. You were in the Grand Championship final with one of our fighters from the Moonsung Lee Taekwondo Institute.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Tony Lapuma. And Tony Lapuma is very close to my family because he's a paisan.
Mm-hmm.
Comes from the same town my family came from. So there was that family bond between his family and my family. You're in the final with him. And sir, you caught him with an apal front leg roundhouse kick to the face. You split his eye open. And it was over. You won.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little kid sitting there ringside. And I'm like, I couldn't believe this happened. I'm in the car on the way home from New Jersey. And I'm not gonna lie to you, sir, I was mad. 5 years old. I was mad. Dad, that guy, he kicked Tony. Tony was bleeding. That wasn't right. I was in the back seat, and my father put his hand on my lap as he was driving. And he said, Jojo, stop. And I learned 2 important lessons. My father said to me, if you ever get hit, number 1, it is always your fault. Never anyone else.
That's right.
You either didn't move, your defense was bad, you did something wrong, your timing, your distance. He went on, and I'm 5 years old and my mouth is opening. I'm like, couldn't believe what he's saying to me.
See, that's old school.
And then the second thing, and it has stuck with me for my whole life. And it is probably one of the greatest inspirations I've ever had. My father looked at me and says, that man who won the Grand Championship is the greatest fighter you're ever going to see. And it has stuck with me. I'm 44 years old. It has stuck with me for close to 40 years, sir. And that's what my father said. And that is why every time I see you, I have an incredible amount of respect for you that a lot of people don't understand. Because anything my father ever told me was gold, was truth. And that, sir, is a story that has stuck with me, and that is why I brought this picture tonight. I had this on a previous episode, that's why I brought that picture there, and it's something that has stayed with me and will always stay with me, what he said.
Your father was special. I always looked up to him. It's kind of a bedrock guy. A bedrock guy.
Sir, it was a pleasure. Great talk.
Pleasure was mine. A pleasure.
All mine. Imparting to our guests. Make sure to check out the show notes at the end of the episode for our sponsor, for our apparel company. Sir, how can the audience reach you in regards of school photography? Something that I missed tonight, but I'll bring it up now. You are all over the competition scenes with the photography. Where can they reach out to you?
Just grab me on the floor. That's the best way. And tell me, and don't wait till 6 months later to say, hey, you took a picture. I get that all the time. You took my picture 3 months ago. My son was wearing a red hogu, and I want to jump through the phone and strangle him. I took 500 pictures that day.
So
just,
even
grab me.
Even with all these stories, you are extremely approachable. I know that.
Yeah, just grab me.
Just go ahead and grab you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of A Black Belt Way of Life. For all information regarding this podcast, check out the show notes. Give us a like, subscribe, shoot us a comment on anything you guys need. If you are interested in sponsoring A Black Belt Way of Life, send us an email at ablackbeltwayoflifepodcast@gmail.com. To our sponsor, Mr. Joe Ferrone of Weichert Realty. His information is in the show notes, along with our official apparel company, Best Martial Arts Muto. As always, what my father always said, a black belt is worn around your heart, never your waist. A Black Belt Way of Life was produced by Press Record Studios.